Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Polywine, where we like to take a deep dive into stories pulled from the media and have a fun time while breaking it down. I'm Jillian, and let's get into it. So, let's start our way to the other part of the world right now from us, and that's over to Myanmar and Thailand. Last Friday, Myanmar was the epicenter of a 7.7 magnitude earthquake that just rocked and demolished that area. And the effects from that earthquake were felt far and wide. Thailand reports casualties. There's also devastation there, and reports are coming out from other surrounding areas as well. But not only did you have the 7.7 magnitude, which is devastating, there has been numerous amounts of aftershocks that have really complicated search and rescue. And not only that, Myanmar is right in the thick of a civil war. So the major conflict has not only complicated, but hindered search and rescue efforts. Actually, yesterday, the government of Myanmar announced that the military would be holding a temporary ceasefire, temporary in order to let search and rescue efforts happen. They were absolutely rocked by this earthquake. And when you see the images that are slowly trickling out slowly from the media, it is just devastating. I was reading this one article in the paper. They were saying that this ancient city of gold, and it is now called a city of death because the stench of decaying bodies is so overwhelming that you can't take anything else in of this city, and it has so much history and beauty, and it's gone. If you go over to Thailand, the images of this high-rise building that was under construction at the time when the earthquake hit, and you just see it boom, 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 pancake down, and it was right next to a heavy traffic intersection, and everybody was recording it. You could see dash cam videos of this building just completely crumbling in front of everybody. And a lot of the construction workers were pulled and found, but there is still search happening there. So it is, we've been talking a lot about earthquakes and hurricanes and tornadoes. It has been an extremely active year so far. The first couple months of 2025 is just exceptionally active, it seems. That is just such a beautiful spot on earth. It really is. And just to see it just completely devastated. So our hearts, thoughts, and prayers go to everyone over there. So please, with the search and recovery and rescue is still ongoing, and they need as much help. So our hearts go to you in that part of the world. So let's go into politics. So there in the US, the politics is just constantly changing. Every time I turn on the news, it is just an absolute bombardment of just ever constant changing stories. So yesterday, the new tariffs were released, and financial and business minds are trying to break it down, understand, so we can explain it to everyone. And please give us time. But what we do know as of yesterday, anything that hits the ports, anything that we buy from outside countries, they will be heavily taxed. And if there's one thing that we can guarantee, it will hit the consumers. So, I understand that you want to bring back manufacturing and jobs. I'm trying to wrap my brain around how this is going to happen in a timely fashion. We need this to happen now if this is what your plan is. And I'm talking to the government here. But this is really this uncertainty, not really having a solid understanding of what's going on and how this is going to affect us immediately and long term. This uncertainty it's scary to most of us, if not all of us, and we need to have a better understanding. Now, let's work our way over to sports. So, did you see the bench clearing brawl between the Pistons and the Timberwolves? Oh my God. Bench was cleared, 5 players, 2 coaches ejected from the game. And can you imagine having some front row court seats that night? They were in the stands. They were on top of spectators. There was this one little kid. He looked like he was probably like middle school age, like right over top of the players with his camera phone, really trying to get it in and trying to get a video of the fight. You know, that kid already had that stuff posted on TikTok, Instagram, Snapchat. He was showing all of his friends. That kid not only had a front row seat, but just up close to it. And wow, that was a crazy, crazy fight. And then there was this video that came out of New Jersey where it was this street hockey game where these kids were playing, and the next thing you know, the parents come out of the field and start getting into a fight. And this is insane, insane. This is happening too much in sports, but especially in children's sports. You know, parents, I understand you are very sensitive and emotional when it comes to your kid, but there's some very foundational rules and, you know, life lessons that we learned in sports at kids. It's how to play as a team, how to support each other, how to get along with one another. You know, you win some, you lose some. And I understand sometimes it's difficult to watch when you feel like your kid is maybe not getting enough playing time, or you feel like they might be slighted by the coach. Whatever the case may be, I understand emotions can running high, but getting on the court or the field and fighting in front of our kids is never the answer. And what are you teaching your kids in this situation? Right? Do you want that to be passed down to them and then they're doing it in front of your grandkids? No. So this is getting out of hand. You can understand why there's a national shortage of referees and umpires in youth sports. And there's a national shortage, and this is part of the reason they do not feel safe. So, I mean, come on, people. What are we doing? Can we just keep it down? Calm down, everyone. Calm down. But in the world of sports, I do have a wonderful, great news story, and I'm going to bring it back to the nation's capital here. And that is our wonderful ice hockey angel, Alex Ovechkin, number 8. Okay. He is up to beat Wayne Gretzky's all-time record high number of goals, and that's 894. As of last night, it was up to 892. Our hometown guy, Ovechkin, is this close, just a hair shy away of beating the NHL legend Wayne Gretzky's record. I mean, you got to realize Wayne Gretzky retired in 1999. 1999. Nobody has come close but our wonderful Ovechkin. So Ovechkin, will it be the next game? Will it be 2 games from now? You are just a stone's throw away, or just a puck away, whatever you want to call it. But we're here, we're cheering you on, and trust me when I say I'm here, I'm cheering you on, and when you do, I'll be sporting my jersey. Okay? So let's go Ovechkin. Let's go Caps. All right, moving over to the entertainment world, completely unexpected, shocked most when we heard the news on Tuesday evening. Val Kilmer, the 80s and 90s icon, you know, of the big screen, passed away at 65 years old. Oh, 65. You know, he had throat cancer in 2014 and ended up having a tracheotomy, and he had lost his voice. He was still performing, still acting, and still putting himself out there. He was in a documentary with his son a couple years ago. He was in the remake of Top Gun, where AI actually, you know, dubbed over his voice because he was struggling with his voice. Evidently, those who are around him knew that his health was on the decline, but it really wasn't out in the social media world. So it was quite shocking to find out that he had passed away at, I think, the young age of 65. But it seemed that he had passed away due to the complications of pneumonia. If there was any other medical complications that were happening, that has not been released. What a legend in the entertainment world. When he entered Juilliard, the youngest entered at that time, he was just such, God, and a legend was screened from Top Gun to no, and nobody of my generation will let me forget Heat. I still love Tombstone, still one of my favorite movies ever. Doc Holliday stole the movie. He was in so many great flicks, and just what a loss. 65 years young. But speaking of another 80s, 90s legend, and that is in the music world, that's Cypress Hill. So years ago, I think it was in the late 80s, early 90s, in an episode of The Simpsons, the great, amazing animated show The Simpsons, the Cypress Hill was on. And they were making a joke. Wouldn't it be interesting if Cypress Hill was performing with, I don't know, like the London Symphony Orchestra? Well, they did it. And this past weekend, Cypress Hill performed with the London Symphony Orchestra. And it was awesome. I don't know if you were able to view it. It was awesome. So please go to YouTube, wherever you can catch a video of it. Amazing. But just crazy. That long ago in the 90s, they made a comment. The Cypress Hills fan kept that comment alive. They made it happen. It came to fruition, and they will release the album. I heard that it was going to be in June that they were going to release the album, but you can see a little bit of video clips online. Cypress Hill, the London Symphony Orchestra, amazing. Insane in the Membrane, Psychosomatic, you name it. Awesome. Who doesn't love Cypress Hill when you fuse it with the London Symphony Orchestra? Amazing. Iconic. Now, let's go over to the world of entertainment, television. Let's go. On Netflix, there was a documentary that has recently dropped called Gold or Greed, and The Hunt for Forrest's Treasure. And it is about a art dealer / author named Forrest Fenn. And he buried a treasure deep into the mountains and wrote a 24-line poem and released all these clues for this treasure hunt. And it excited and prompted this huge treasure hunt phenomenon. It really was. I mean, it really took over people's lives. In this documentary, they talk about Forrest Fenn's story. They talk about the story of the actual why he hid the treasure, which was really exciting. And then it kind of subdivides into several different stories of treasure hunters. This one who was a huge fan of Forrest Fenn's and became very close with him, and was also a treasure hunter. And then it also had this story of a father and his boys of treasure hunting, and they, and their story and journey. And then this interesting gentleman out of Texas who him and his brother came together and searched for it. But not only did you have the excitement and the lure of this treasure hunt, but there was greed, and you had loss. And, a couple of people lost their lives, searching for this treasure. So it was just really, I thought, a kind of a fascinating watch. There was a lot of history involved, but the excitement, but to hear the different stories from different perspectives of the people that were caught up in the hunt and the love of the chase, I just thought was really, really kind of cool. So if you kind of like this shows like The Curse of Oak Island, or I think there was another one like Blind Frog Ranch. I think that's what it is. If you kind of like those treasure hunting stories, there's also one like an Aztec. I don't know if it's Discovery or Nat Geo. But if you kind of like those treasure hunting stories, you might like this documentary called Gold or Greed, The Hunt for Forrest's Treasure. And I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was pretty cool. Also on Netflix, if you want a good laugh and you kind of like a nice twisted sense of humor. Chelsea Handler just released a stand-up show, was called The Feeling. And she was kind of going into, that change in life at certain ages and some great stories. Her story with her and Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, pretty funny. Actually was at home during COVID and was watching the show The View in the background. I don't know, it was probably doing dishes or something like that. And saw her in an interview where she said that that she was into the governor of Andrew Cuomo. There you go. And he ended up calling her back, and just how that happened. And they wanted to try and hook up for a date, and it just didn't really work out. That story was really, really funny. And all in all, entertainment. I think Chelsea Handler's funny. So I enjoyed it. So if you need a good laugh, just want to kind of get away from it all, Chelsea Handler, Netflix, The Feeling, live stand-up. Funny. Now, let's move over to some of our favorite shows. And that is, I want to get back to The Masked Singer. I do not watch that show, but I caught it by accident last week. And I said, I think Erika Jayne was the Yorkie pup dog. I happened to catch a few minutes of it this week because I wanted to see if they were eliminated or not. It's back. It is definitely Erika Jayne. I called it then. I called it last week. I called it today. I think Rita Ora, who is the one judge, called it. I think she said that it was Erika Jayne. It sounds just like her. So everybody out there, Yorkie pup, Erika Jayne. I want to get a little bit into Erika Jayne because this past week on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we had the reunion. Part 1 of the reunion. And wow, the claws were out early. Everybody just had attitude. I have a mixed bag of outfits of what my opinion were on the dresses. Of course, everybody wants to know, who are you wearing? What are you wearing? And who wore it best? Garcelle was voted best dressed. I think I might agree with that. I think she looked beautiful. Sutton looked pretty as well. I don't know. Does anybody remember the show Solid Gold back in the day? Anybody remember that performing show, Solid Gold? That is a callback to the 80s. Google or YouTube that. Solid Gold. You had the Solid Gold dancers come out and perform. I'm referring back to my 80s because we just talked about Val Kilmer. We talked about Cypress Hill, 80s, 90s. Solid Gold. It was a show, and you would have the Solid Gold dancers come out. And that's what Kyle was giving me. I was very young, and I actually had to YouTube that not that long ago. Awesome. Still amazing today as it was back then. But she's giving me a Solid Gold dancer, Kyle. Dorit looked beautiful. She did have a very mermaid-esque. I can't wait for Jennifer Tilly to come out. Bose, I think Bose is always beautiful, but there's a lot of points. My eyes were all over the place, but you look really gorgeous in yellow. You really do. Beautiful. Yeah, Erika, you look beautiful. You look very tight, but Erika was mean. I kept saying Erika was I was waiting for it to crack all season. She did. Finally, thank God. Erika, you were mean. You're getting a little full of yourself. And so I'm going to come back to you, Erika, because talking about the Yorkie pup, I think it is really nice to see that you are getting back out there. I know you talked about, you went through some dark times. You took a hit. But you were very mean this episode. So let's get into the reunion, okay? Other than, there was a lot that happened this season. A lot that happened. You had Dorit, PK, still going through divorce to see happen, when it was through the thick of it, raw emotions. You still have Kyle Mauricio, still in the process, separated, but not legally separated. And you've got all the other stuff. But my opinion, Erika, you look like a major asshole. You really did. You were kind of supportive, but what about me? It was very self-absorbed at times. But when you called Garcelle just boring, I wish you had more, a little bit more. I just didn't find you very exciting. And although we were all thinking it, her story wasn't exciting. That's okay. You don't have to give me everything. You just have to show up for, you got to give me the tough questions. You got to pull a little bit of other people. And I thought she gave a good balance of shadiness, made you talk about conversations and topics that you didn't, and subjects that you didn't necessarily want to kind of bring to the table. But, Garcelle slowly prodded you and made you bring it out. And I did like that, and sometimes pissed you off and you lashed out. And I like that. But I thought you went in a little hard, Erica, and you just, I don't know. And I'm glad that you're having success again. I'm glad you are on the upward trajectory in your career. But you are, I think you're getting a little bold, and I think you're getting a little too cocky again. And just remember, you're not in the clear yet. There's still, your past is still clinging on to you. And I believe that Marco case is still pending. And I don't believe it's gone to court yet. And I don't know when it is. But that's a big one. So, careful, Erica. I'm afraid if you get too bold and fly too close to the sun, you might get burned. So enjoy everything you have right now. But I'm telling you, it's wonderful to see you on your comeback tour. Has been nice. But don't go down and dirty, and you're going in that direction. But when you said, I wish you were just more entertaining. Okay, sure. Garcelle, I wish we were a little bit more entertaining, but she's killing it in her career. And I am enjoying watching that. I'm enjoying Sutton getting a little mean this season, but you need to peel it back. You are on the cusp of going too far. During part 1 of the reunion, I think that you recognized it and you were trying to own it a bit, but I feel like at the end of part 1 of the reunion, you were starting to get a little bit pushed, and you get a little bit heated because when you left off, you could see how Garcelle was felt a little defeated, and B was just freaking pissed. And she should have been. You want to come out swinging, Garcelle. Really, you have put enough up with these girls long enough. Come out swinging, and we already know that you got so pissed off that you're leaving the season. So go out with a bang. That's what I say. But Garcelle said, I know they're coming for me, and we're the mean girls now, so prepare yourself. And even Garcelle said, Sutton said, I know this isn't going to go well for me. This isn't going to look good for me. It's not. So prepare yourself. You're going to have to defend everything you said or own it. I hate to say Rena's words, but own it. And you are. My own Sutton. And I like when Sutton gets catty and pissy, because I feel like sometimes she should. She's pushed into a corner. She has been picked on so much by a lot of these women. And Erica, you've never liked Sutton. It's obvious. It is a weird love-hate relationship that it's always been with Kyle and Sutton. Dorit and Sutton have never liked each other. So it's that side of the couch has never been Team Sutton. So she's put up with a lot of crap over the years from then. So I can understand why she's fed up and she's defensive and she's going to, at this point, lash out. But you're overreacting now. And although I love to see Sutton on an excellent freakout session when she just goes kitty crazy, it's entertainment. It's fun to watch. But now you're just getting really mean and just, it is below the belt. They're right. It is below the belt. And it's some things you can't recover from. And yeah, they make great memes online. And I'm telling you, they make great memes. But I want you to stay, Sutton. And I think there are some qualities of you that are pretty fantastic. So let's let those shine. Please let those shine, girls. Let your Georgia peach shine and be sweet and fuzzy. Use your Southern Charm. Isn't that special? Or bless her sweetheart. Let's use some of those instead of you going full cuckoo. Although we do love that about you. And can we get a little bit more Abby? Again, more Abby. Kyle, I'm sick. I've never been team Kyle, but Kyle, you do look really good. I don't know what work you've had done, but you look excellent. Excellent. I'm not a fan of the dress. Like I said, solid gold dancer, but you look excellent. Now, I do want to get to a friend of Kyle's, and Kyle has many friend of, and that's Teddi Mellencamp. Teddi Mellencamp has really been in the news lately about everything that she's going through with her health struggles. And she has released statements saying that she is, undergoing chemo and radiation for her cancer. And she did release a statement the other day saying that it has metastasized and spread to her lung and brain, and it's stage 4. And Teddi, you have put on such a brave face and just a suit of armor through this illness, and it is so sad to see you go through this. You have been a rock, and you have been an absolute warrior. She is young. She has young children. And thank you for putting it out there for everyone to see it, but to recognize the symptoms. So if they see anything, recognize anything that what you're discussing or what you have experienced, they may recognize it if they see it within themselves or someone else. So maybe they can go to the doctor and get some early detection. Teddi, this is really sad, and I am so sorry. Another one of our girls back in the news. We talked about a little bit the other day. Teresa, tax season is here. It is among us. And Teresa Giudice, the Real Housewives of New Jersey, her and Louis, girl, we told you. Nothing good is going to come out of this relationship with Louis. You have been warned. And we're seeing the pattern, and she is in heat again with the IRS. So, Teresa, we have really enjoyed watching you over the years, and it was quite something to see you go through jail. And, Bravo stuck with you through your first legal issues. Are they going to stick with you again? And also some of our other Bravo news. The Paige and Craig, Paige from Summer House and Craig from Southern Charm. And of course, Southern Charm just had part 1 of their reunion. That is just really taking over the news waves. Everybody's still talking about it. I didn't even realize it was funny during an interview during the New Year celebration with him and Anderson Cooper that they do for CNN, that they were interviewing John Hamm. And when they were talking about, what are you going to do later? He's like, well, I think I want to have a drink because did you hear about Paige and Craig breaking up? It's still going on. They're talking about it non-stop. Andy's really giving it to Craig. It was just one question after another on part 1 of the reunion of Summer Charm. But that breakup just keeps on giving. And poor Craig, I do feel bad for you. I can tell that it seems like you really were totally shocked when she broke up with you. I don't think anybody else on Paige's side saw this as a shocking story. You can tell you're definitely heartbroken, and I do feel bad for Craig. I wonder how long it'll take for him to go back to his ways, and I am having fun watching Andy just give it to him left and right. But talking about a breakup that just will not stop, and that is the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case. When is it going to end? Talking about like news and the politics that literally every time there's a news, there's another story coming out. It's the same thing with the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni case. Oh my God. How much more? Every day it's something new, something else. Is this ever going to go to trial? Ever going to go to trial? Is it ever going to happen? I don't know. But it's a lot. And I'm telling you, Blake, at this point, if something truly did happen, it is just a constant flooding of information from this movie. And you're not coming off well. And I've said it before, I think this is going to affect you negatively, just the same way that the whole Amber Heard case affected her negatively. That girl had to leave the country. She's like living in Spain under a different name. And that's how awful the backlash was for her. And, you and Ryan Reynolds are a power couple in Hollywood. In my opinion, I think this is going to sink you, and it could sink him. And it is just unfortunate to see that empire fall. I don't think you can fix this at this point. You either ride it out or walk away. I don't know how you write this at this point. But in the eyes of public opinion, it's the swaying of opinions. One day it's her, they're on her side. One day they're on his side. But from what my sense is of reading just, Reddit and opinions online and hearing the stories, I feel like the tide has definitely shifted and it's moving in his direction of Justin Baldoni, where I think the public opinion is siding more towards him. And a lot of his former coworkers and friends have come out and, it seems to be consistent with his story, what they say in support of him and some of her past that's coming out. It's not making her seem very likable. There's a lot of interviews that are resurfacing and former coworkers that have worked with her on former sets, and she's not getting the best reviews, let's just say that. But I'm just kind of sick of hearing about it. And I feel like your voice has lost its power. And I feel like you are going to tank your career with you just trying to fight this out at this one. So I think you need to take a step back and reevaluate it. But I am kind of sick of this Justin Baldoni case. So please, can we either settle it, take it to court, or move on? If it does go to court, yeah, sure, I'm going to watch it. I want to watch it. I hope cameras are in the courtroom. I want to know what happens. But I think her camp is trying to block text messages from her personal text messages to other people. Because once you go to court, everything can be revealed. They're going to subpoena your text messages and any kind of correspondence that you may have with anybody pertaining to this case. Her camp is trying to stop a lot of that correspondence from coming out. That should be really interesting to see, because that will definitely play into her character. So, and that might not come off so kind in her favor. So I want to watch it. I want to watch it. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed the Amber Heard Johnny Depp case. So good. Mega Pint, still one of the greatest phrases to come out of that court case. But if it does, which is, debatable if it will actually make it to court, but if it does, let's see where that goes. And if there will be any changes made on sets moving forward. But what is her career going to look like? And what is his career going to look like? Because this is it is ugly. Now, let's work our way over to HBO Max. White Lotus is coming to a close. Yes, the season finale of season 3 of White Lotus Thailand is this Sunday. So, how are we going to fit everything into the last episode? Well, they have announced that this is going to be the longest season finale of the series, and it is going to be a 90-minute episode. I still don't know how you're going to close and wrap up all the stories of all the different families of the Ratliff family, where you have Rick, where you have Greg and the mom. I do not know how you're going to wrap it all up in 90 minutes, but I am here for it. I am Loving this season. So 90 minutes episode finale. Let's do it. Where is the next season going to be? What beautiful hot destination is the next season of The White Lotus? But I have thoroughly enjoyed it and I cannot wait to get a little bit more. Well, that does it for us today on Polywine. Thank you so much for joining us today. And please follow, like, and subscribe Polywine wherever you get your feed, and follow us on Instagram at Polywine Time. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye.